Thank you very much, Representative King. Thank you. Governor Ducey, it was great to listen to him, and he's going to do great things here in Arizona. And to all the legislators from Arizona, I beg you to come to New York, please. And I do bring you greetings from the People's Republic of New York, and a special greetings from two of my conservative constituents in Westchester County, Hillary and Bill Clinton. Say hi and keep up the good work, they tell me to say to you. I think there's probably more pro-growth, pro-limited government people in this room than there are in the entire state of New York, which explains why I'm here as county executive and not as governor. But that's okay. To paraphrase what Ronald Reagan said, the people of New York are pro-life and pro-limited government and pro-fiscal conservative, but they just don't know it yet. It is our job to get them on the right path. And as an unfunded and fairly unknown candidate for governor last year, we actually did win 75% of the counties in New York State. We beat Cuomo 49-46 outside of the 5 boroughs of New York City. And so in the bluest of blue states, we were actually able to keep Cuomo at only 53% of the vote in what was a relatively close election. So there are two things that give me hope that state and local officials who bring common sense to their jobs can do well in places like New York. And one is simple economics. The other is basic competence. The business model of New York is absolutely broken. In fact, it's upside down. Most places operate on supply and demand, where people are actually required to pay for things. In New York, it's demand and supply. Special interests demand things, and politicians supply them for free, or so they pretend, and we actually know how expensive free is. And that's where competence comes in. The opportunity for fiscal conservatives is to show that government can live within its means and still operate successfully. And it's not an easy job. It could be a lonely job, but it's a job that must be done, and our nation and your states deserve it and expect it to thrive in the future. Now, take Westchester County, for example. We have been able to live within our means for the last 6 years since I've been in office and operate successfully. I love ALEC's motto, free market enterprise, limited government, and federalism. In Westchester, we operate now on a simple and moral compass just like that. We call them the 3 Ps: protect taxpayers, preserve essential services, and promote economic growth. Westchester is a county of 1 million people. It's on the northern border of New York City. Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1, and Westchester holds the dubious distinction of having the highest property taxes in the nation. So I ran in 2005 for county executive on the promise to cut taxes. I was crushed. I ran again in 2009 on the exact same pledge. This time, a Republican conservative in deep blue Westchester won by 13 points. My predecessor had raised taxes 20% in the last 3 or 4 years, and even deep blue Westchester was ready to stop the tax madness. My first year, we cut taxes 2%. Since then, we've had 5 budgets and have not raised taxes at all. We've reduced headcount by 1,000 positions, or almost 20%, and our budget today is a little bit smaller at $1.8 billion than what it was when we walked in the door. And guess what? The sky didn't fall. But boy, did they say it would. Essential services continued. The safety net for our neediest residents at over $500 million is still very strong and responsive, and our credit rating is the highest of any county in the state with a stable outlook. How did we do it? It was hard work, because we don't get the help from our state legislature that some of your states or the legislators here give to your local municipalities. We don't get that kind of help. We're always battling Albany in every respect because we're the ATM machine for Albany spending. Once we got into office, I presented our unions with a novel idea. They're going to have to pay for their health care just like everyone else. That didn't make me popular, but we did negotiate contracts that we thought were fair, where employees of 7 of the 8 unions are now paying for some of their health care. New employees are paying in perpetuity for their health care, even after retirement, and that saved millions and millions of dollars. We still have one holdout, but if anyone wants to have a telethon for our workers, let me leave you with this. Average compensation for a Westchester County employee is almost $130,000. 62% of that is fringe benefits. General Motors went broke at around the 30% range. They went bankrupt. It is completely unsustainable. But we did it. We've cut spending, and you may not win popularity contests, but without the courage to do the right thing, nothing will ever get fixed. And I'd like to tell you that the noise goes away. It doesn't. They're always protesting. We have professional protesters. They come and they grab a new placard every day, and they don't even know what they're there for, but they're protesting. And if you take a pencil out of the budget, they scream and yell that you're killing people. So the cries for more spending never cease. And after a half a decade so far of no tax increase, the plea from the nonprofit industrial complex and the labor unions and everybody else is that it wouldn't be so bad just to raise taxes a little bit, right? 2% tax hike isn't going to hurt anybody. But we did a calculation for this year's budget. If we had raised taxes just 2% for the last 6 years, instead of holding the line as we did, it would have cost taxpayers $317 million. Now, to paraphrase the late, great Everett Dirksen of Illinois, a percent here and a percent there, and you're talking about some real money. And $317 million is real money. And that's money that has now stayed in the pockets of seniors and young families and businesses, all struggling to pay for what they consider to be their essential needs. Now, we have a responsibility. Everybody in this room who's elected has a responsibility to deliver essential services. But government governs best when we leave that money in the pocket of the decision makers. That's the people who actually pay the taxes. The business community, they've responded of our approach. PepsiCo, which has their world headquarters in Westchester, was ready to leave to Texas. We were actually able to keep them there by promising never to drink Coke ever. But we actually gave them incentives, and they are now staying in Westchester County for a long time. Heineken USA has its headquarters nationally in Westchester. They're doubling down and adding. Regeneron, we heard about Pfizer, who we're very proud of. Regeneron is a huge and growing biotech company in Westchester County. They have almost 1,500 employees right now, and they're staying. So the decision by these companies to stay in Westchester has been critically important because economic growth, that one of those 3 Ps, economic growth is the most important. It's what pays the bills for the first 2. So the experience in Westchester is that voters respect economics and reward competence. We were reelected 13-point margin again 2 years ago, and we've moved the Democratic supermajority when I walked in the door on the county board from 13 Democrats, 4 Republicans to now 9-8. And the reason why we've been able to do that is because we Republicans and fiscal conservatives have actually governed, even in a deep blue county, like fiscal conservatives and Republicans. And enough Democrats and everyone else rewarded us for doing our job and doing it right, all in a very deep blue state. So I appreciate the opportunity to come here. If anyone, and I know Republicans in Texas and Arizona and all the other great states that I've had a chance to talk to, are much more like Republicans than we have in New York, where they're a little bit like jellyfish with not much of a backbone. But I appreciate what you do, and we look to other states as examples for policies that we can introduce not only on a county level, but also introduce in Albany that would make sense. Just a shameless plug, John Fund over here, who writes, of course, for many great publications. John and I are going to be doing a Q&A at 3:45, and if you're ever wondering what federal overreach looks like, listen to what we're going to talk about. We are the epicenter for federal overreach in a battle with housing and urban development. And Westchester County was sued in 2006. My predecessor signed an agreement. We have a federal monitor. We have to build low-income housing in 31 white communities based upon the settlement. And the administration in D.C., through Justice Department and HUD, is all over us every day trying to change the rules and trying to force something that they have now put into effect in rules that take effect everywhere, where if you get in bed with HUD, if you take federal grant money, you are now susceptible to have your zoning laws at the scrutiny and potentially changed by bureaucrats in D.C. who want an equal balance in every neighborhood It is social engineering at its worst, and it's federalism that is completely under siege by this administration. So if you have a chance, please listen in. I just want to say thank you to ALEC, and in particular ACE, for all that they're doing to bring their ideas and shape strategies for moving our country forward, and I really, really appreciate it. Who here is a Walking Dead fan? Isn't it a great show? I've been binging. I had 30 episodes I watched over Thanksgiving. But I look at what's happening right now in this country and dealing with certain legislatures and other, like The Walking Dead, because there are a lot who have less function in their brain with regard to economics, and so everything is a give and everything is a give and must have. And if we don't band together, we will be defeated and this country will go down the tubes. So thank you for the states that have been pushing back and showing that there is a difference between states and federal government, and the reserved powers not given to the federal government belong with the states. Thank you very, very much. God bless you all.